Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Long time no see on Lachys Garage. I don't post many videos. Now a lot of you guys have been asking, can I do a review on my newer Aurion? So I used to have an Aurion years ago, or 3-4 years ago. That was a 2007 Presara. Now this one is a 2016 Presara. Ignore the hail damage. We had a huge storm the other week and we got lots of hail damage. It was parked at work, but it still came in through the side undercover and damaged the back of it and a little bit of the roof. Don't know how well you can see it on camera. Anyway, I'm going to review the car anyway. This will be my... when did I get the car? I got it July 2019 and it's now end of February 2020. So it's over 6 months, but I'm going to do it as my 6-month or half yearly review anyway. I just washed it this morning, but it's going to rain again, as you can see. And I drove out to Hume this morning from Canberra, so there's a few bugs and all that jazz on there. So yeah, the Presara is a top of the range model. Now, for all of you that don't know Toyotas very well, or Aurions very well, they had what's called, in Australia, or in New Zealand, but mainly Australia, we have, instead of a V6 Camry, we have an Aurion. So between 2006 and 2017-ish, so about 10-11 years, the Australian market wanted to have a crack at the V6 Camry again. They no longer make these now, by the way. They stopped making them after 2017. This is the last model, actually. See, it's got the Sportivo lights and a few other things I'll get into later. Anyway, so yeah, they only made them for about 10-11 years until Toyota Australia shut their doors and didn't make them anymore, because people just don't buy sedans anymore. Everyone in Australia, or basically the whole world, wants you know, SUVs and four-wheel drives and all that jazz, or diesels and all that. So yeah, not much of a market anymore, but I'm happy I get to own the last one. So I'm going to do a bit of a compare to the old one, and what it's like owning a newer one, the pros and cons of the car, and what I don't like about the car, etc, etc. I do like the wheels. I mean, these are the same wheels as a hybrid Camry gets, so they're sort of a snowflakey flower sort of thing. They look a bit stylish. I mean, they're not overly exciting, but you know, it's pretty nice anyway. You get the Sportivo styled sort of headlights on this last model, so it's got the LEDs there, you know, the indicator, and there's just a halogen what's it called, parking light there, and a halogen high beam. Oh, there's the indicator there, sorry. LED fog lights. Now when I got it, what was I going to say? When I bought it last year, it was bought under New South Wales registration, and obviously I live in the ACT. I live in the north side of Canberra, so I had to do the rego transfer. So I got rid of the bulky New South Wales plates, handed that in, got the refund and all that, and got the slimline plates, which suits it quite well actually. So this comes equipped, so being the Presara is the top of the range one, like I said earlier. So what you get is you get a sunroof, obviously. Get this nice sort of bluish, smooth, grainy, like a dark blue grainy sort of, you know, like fake wood grain stuff. It actually looks quite nice. Leather seats. You get a rear visor, which I'll show you guys when I start the car. You know, extra set of lights back here, although I think they all have that. Get the lights up the front there, rear vents, all the standard stuff really. It's very comfortable. I'm about 6'1" or 6'2" high. I'm a pretty tall dude, but not super tall. And I can fit quite comfortably in the back here. In the front, kind of like a cockpit really, buttons everywhere. Plenty of, or adequate room for drinks, plenty of cup holders. It's got the same in the back, in the middle. That opens, you have two. And as you can see, there's no park brake here. they've kept it flush like the old Aurion. So where the park brake is, it's actually a foot mounted park brake, which is very annoying because you know, a lot of people leave it on, which sets off a warning chime. I mean, you get used to it. I'm used to it. I don't really use it unless I'm parked on a hill anyway. This last model also gets the, so this is like the Mark II. So with the Sportivo lights, you also get the nice version of the gauges. So instead of having the half swept gauges, you get the full blue circles, if that makes sense. And then you have the temperature gauge down the bottom there. You got the nice little, it's probably about a 4 or 5 inch screen in the middle. Then you got the, obviously the fuel gauge and all that, and you're right, in the speedometer. So I'm going to go ahead and start it up. The sun's just come out on this very warm, humid day. So to start it, you put your foot on the brake and just put the start button to go. So also being the top of the range model, you get the dual zone climate control. So this side of the car can be, you know, say 20 degrees. Then you hit the dual button here. And then this side of the car can now be, you know, whatever temperature your partner or girlfriend or friend or whatever wants it to be on that side of the car. So yeah, it's good. Stops the arguments in summer, because I like to have the aircon pumping, but obviously your passengers might get a bit cold. You get the full entertainment system. It's a JBL system. I don't reckon it's as good as Mazda, to be honest. That's something I don't like. I don't know if there's some underlying issue with the speakers, but I just don't find them to be overly loud, or even when I fiddled with all the sound adjustments, I just don't reckon the quality is overly good compared to Mazda and some of the other car companies that are doing top end sort of speaker stuff. Anywho, I still love this car. I didn't buy it. I'm not overly into pumping my music super loud anyway. So yeah, you have apps. You've got fuel economy information here. So it tells you in the last 15 minutes what your fuel economy has been like. This will be me cruising on the highway earlier, getting sort of you know, sort of low 6s or whatever in fuel economy, and as high as, you know, what's that, 22 litres per 100 or whatever. On the very right side here, you've got, when you start driving, it says your instantaneous fuel consumption, elapsed time, and your cruising range, which it will also say in the middle there if you flick through, average speed and time, and etc, etc. You can also go past record and find out, the dates are wrong, I need to change that, but that's okay. It shows you your driving style for the last, you know, month or whatever you have it set to, and also average fuel economy up there, and your best there. So that's pretty good. I only filled up with petrol yesterday, and I've done some mixed driving today. A couple little bursts, a couple of minutes here and there with aircon on. It's 23 degrees outside, and I'm still getting, you know, easily between 8 and 10 litres per 100, which I normally get around town anyway. The other day I did a Sydney trip, and I managed to do 6.4, 6.5 litres per 100. So the fuel economy is actually quite good for the sort of car that it is. So it's got a trip meter there. Don't know how well you can see that in the middle there. You can see I've done 96 Ks, and I've only just used a smidge of fuel there. And if you scroll up, 8.7 litres per 100, and that's my long-term average. And then in the middle, there's a tiny green bar in the middle that goes up and down. It kind of looks like a tornado when you drive, which shows you instantaneous as well. And this one is expressed in bars, so the more blocks you have, the better your fuel consumption. And then at the end of your trip, it says, down the bottom of the screen, it says, oh, excellent, you know, you've saved this amount of fuel or whatever. Anyway, back to the apps. You know, you have your trips, you have setup, you have, this has got the GPS navigation, you've got telephone, calendar, you've got weather, parking places. You can also go into a mode where you can adjust your interior lighting, you know, the beeps of the car, the noises, your reverse backup camera settings and lines, etc, etc. I'll show you what that looks like now. Actually, it's a bit hard to see because of the sun outside, but it's a pretty a good system. It does show a lot further down, and the camera is off center in this, as you can see the number plates on your far right there. So it is sort of offset a little bit, but that's okay. It's still calibrated with the lines to make sure you get into a park, and then when you steer, obviously the lines move as well. I'll also give you a few revs to hear what the engine sounds like in a second as well. Yeah, in terms of headroom, as again I'm about 6'1", 6'2". Plenty of headroom here. It's not tight at all. Even when I move my head forward like this, I can only just feel my hair rubbing on this area here when I lean fully forward, but obviously you're not going to drive that forward. In terms of driving position, you know, again, I'm pretty tall. I have to have the seat very far back. I don't have it leaned too much. You know, it's similar to what the passenger one would look like there. Yeah, and the seats are adjustable. Fully electric down the side here, lumbar support, everything like that. The only thing you need to remove is a backrest by yourself, like you would in any other car. You have your window controls here. The driver's side is auto. It'd be good if they were all auto, but that's okay. The driver's side is auto. You know, lock, unlock, window lockout switch, mirrors, and seat settings. Okay, so what you can actually do is you hold set and 1 in this position now, for example, and it will save your seat movement and your side mirrors to number 1, and then you can have 2 people programmed in here. So my girlfriend is programmed for number 2, I'm programmed for number 1, for example. So when she hits number 2, it buzzes around for a second, moves the mirrors, moves the seat. Obviously it doesn't move this mirror, you still move this by yourself. But yeah, memory seats, memory mirrors, external mirrors, awesome feature to have. You never have to worry about people messing up your seat again. You just jump in, press a button and go, or you can actually program it on your key fob. So when you approach the car with a certain key fob, it will know that it's you, and it will automatically adjust everything for you. And then you could give your spouse or your wife or your partner, whatever, your girlfriend or your friend, the other key, and same deal for them. It will remember their settings, and then when you approach the car or unlock the car, by the time they hop in the car, it will be ready to go. So this mirror here is called electrochromatic mirror. So it's an electrochemical reaction, and it's got a camera here and a camera on the front. Yep. And we'll talk about the rain sensing wipers and auto high beam in a minute. So yeah, basically when it senses bright lights behind you, so someone coming up on your rear with bright lights or high beam or even just normal lights, it will automatically dim this whole mirror down for you, so you can still see them, but it's not going to be piercingly bright. And then that button there is to turn it from auto to off. But I mean, when you start the car or you just leave it on auto all the time, works fine. You set it and forget it. You never have to worry about it. Again, you just adjust it to how you want it, and then it's all good to go. Up here you have your sunroof up. So the sunroof's up now. Sunroof down button. So that just closes that. Your sunroof open. You hold it down for a few seconds. It automatically opens. And it doesn't fully open because the wind will buffer it when you're driving. So if you want it fully open, you hold it down again. You hold it, sorry, let me open that again. You hold it open again, and then it opens at that last few inches. It's quite a big sunroof. It's actually called a moon roof. So I believe it's slightly bigger than a sunroof. In terms of leakiness, it's very dry. I've never encountered a leak in this one. With my old Presara from 2007, it used to leak a little bit, so I cleaned out the track, and it was fine after that and lubricated it. But this one, no problem so far. I believe it has drainage in the pillars here, so when it gets full of water in there, it will just drain away. Especially on level ground, it will just never have to worry about that, hopefully. It's got seatbelt warnings up here for the back seat. So when someone's in the back, it's got a sensor in the seat. So when it senses weight, it will go red. And if they do not have their seatbelts on, it will come up with red dots underneath. And then obviously, you want your passengers to have your seatbelt on, so when their seatbelt goes on and you start driving, the red dots go out and it goes into this normal color here. You have your digital clock there. Now there's no overspeed feature with this model of Aurion. It's something they ditched in, this is a GSV-50R. So my previous 2007 Aurion was a GSV-40R. They facelifted that in 2010, and then 2012 came. They came up with this shape, you know, with the mirrors, and this is a facelifted GSV-50R. So the very last Mark II version of the Aurion. So it also says your altitude there and GPS time. Yeah, this thing is pretty, it does need an update, and it has a memory card in there that you can update. Yeah, it's loads pretty quickly. Fairly happy with it. Seems to be quick. It's a bit dusty at the moment, probably needs another vacuum. Now here's, like I mentioned earlier, there's a rear vanity, rear blind that goes up when you push it. So you push it once, it goes up, blocks the sun out and blocks potential people behind you high beaming you or whatever, or annoying you with their headlights. Push that to go down. Also to mention, when you put it in reverse, the rear louver will detract, so you can see out backwards, and then when you put it in drive and drive away, and when you go over 15 kilometers an hour, it retracts up again and blocks out again. Again, you can leave it on all the time. You don't have to worry about it going down by itself or anything, or do that itself, or going up or whatever. But I only sort of use it when I have to, because you know, I sort of want it to last. And I found with my old Aurion, eventually it sort of stretched a bit and didn't quite go up and down as well as it did. And it also didn't have that feature, when you put it in reverse, it would just go down, it wouldn't pop back up again. Anyway, so they improved on this model for that. So this down here, excuse me, is called the lane departure warning. This is exclusive to this very last model of Presara. None of the other Sportivos or any other of the Aurions had this, except for this, and the hybrid Camry had this model. Had this feature in this model. So if you push that, you'll get a little icon on the screen, and it says lane departure system unavailable under 15 kilometers an hour, blah blah blah. That's fine, because you mainly use it on highways or very straight roads where you're driving at night, for example. You're feeling a bit tired, but obviously you still want to drive, and not saying that you should drive while you're tired or distracted or whatever, but if you happen to fall asleep or anything, if you move over the lanes, or even if you're just not paying attention because you're a bit tired or a bit fatigued, an alarm will go off and it will flash at you and everything like that, and you know, ask you to correct yourself. So it's called lane departure alert, which is an awesome feature to have. Now in terms of this little menu here, I'll just zoom in on it. You have these buttons: voice activated, phone answer, phone hang up. You can scroll through your little menus on there, which I'll go through in a second. This is your audio controls here. You can flick through CD, Bluetooth, digital radio, and, you know, analog, AM radio, volume control there, also for your phone. So if you just switch the menus here, you can see that again we have the bars, we have that little vortex tornado looking thing for fuel economy. You scroll across, you have which direction you're facing, and then when you're navigating, you can also choose to have the street and the tiny little map sort of thing up here to show you where to go, or you can just I choose to just look at the screen. It's a bit distracting having it here as well, but yeah, it's pretty cool. It shows you which direction you're going in. If you got the lane departure warning on, or if you're using cruise control, it also says your set speed in that little box there. And then you have warning messages that pop up saying, you know, for your navigation, or a fault with the car or something like that. It's your little menu box there will pop in that. Have your settings. You can do various calibrations, liters per 100, or you can go kilometers per liter, for example. Pardon me. Now down here you have your park assist, which is your parking sensors around the car. So it has parking sensors on each corner of the bumper bar, as well as a reverse camera. I leave that on all the time. but if you want it off because it's annoying you, you can turn it off as well. Good feature to have because it's very, very wide, this car. Not only that, but you have your traction control button here, which is handy to have. Now, the previous generation of Aurion, even the first generation of, the first series of this model of Aurion, so the GSV-50R, 50R, didn't have this button. So this is a very handy button. If you ever got the front wheels jacked up and you want to check the joints or whatever, and you want the wheels turning up to speed, great for that. Of course, if you want to do a awesome fully sick front wheel drive burnout, which I don't do, but if you want to do that, obviously on private property, you press that and you could nail it with the park brake on all you want and smoke out the tires, whatever, but I'm not interested in doing that. I mean, if you want to do a 0 to 100, you could try it with and without launch control as well if you wanted to. Now, this feature over here is called blind spot monitoring. So there's a little icon. If you press it, you can see it pop up there. So system's on, and again, I leave that on all the time. So if someone's next to you in your blind spot here, just before it comes into view on your side, it will flash orange. And then when you put the indicator on, and if they're still too close, it will flash abruptly and sort of beep at you as well. So it's great if you're especially in bad weather and you can't, sort of struggling to merge or whatever. It's a great feature to have, or just every day. I mean, you should never rely on the computer too much to do things like this. I mean, obviously you want to do your head checks and all that safety jazz. You don't want to rely on it too much, but it's great feature to have. So this is a part that you've probably all been waiting for. We'll have a look in the engine bay. Let me just pop the hood down here. And I'll tell you some quick, it's very hot in here, quick specifications about the engine, what I like and dislike about the engine as well. So I'll introduce it. It's a Toyota, but it's actually got the Lachys V6 in it. So it's a Lachys 2GR-FE 3.5 litre high output V6. So it's got variable valve timing, 4 valves per cylinder, double overhead cam. Again, only 3.5 litres, but it punches out about 205 kilowatts. They reckon on premium, but I don't see a huge difference in what fuel you use. It's E10 compatible, but I choose to run premium anyway for my, for my liking. Now, I do apologise, it is a bit dusty. It's also got a variable air box, so it sucks air through here. There's a flap in there that controls how much air goes in, and there's a bellow box underneath which controls airflow, mainly for noise regulations, but I do believe it actually helps stabilize the air going into the engine, and also aids with efficiency and helps acceleration, blah blah blah. Got your air box there, your throttle body there. It also has variable inlet runners, similar to the Falcon. So low end RPM, you have the long runners where air slowly makes its way in and gives you lots of low down torque, and then in your high revs it shortens the runners internally, so the air just rushes straight in to give you high end RPM, along with variable valve timing, which switches the cam timing to change the way it behaves in the higher revs. Look, there's obviously more information on that. I'm not an engineer or anything. I do know how it works. It's just I'm struggling to get the words out. I do apologize. Anyway, so this model also, with these newer GSV-50Rs, they say goodbye to the power steering pump because it's electronic power steering. Now it's speed sensitive, speed dependent power steering. So for example, if you're going very slow, like under 30 k's an hour, it's very, as you can see, I can pretty much do it with my pinky, very, very not loose, it's still tight steering, but it's very soft and mushy. It's easy to park, and then when you go over 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, whatever, it will actually know that you're going faster, stiffen up and give you more steering feedback and handling. So this is probably a good time to show you what it sounds like. It's got the dual exhaust at the back. Now it's actually got a 3-way cat converter, so it's got 2 cat converters on the exhaust manifolds for when the engine's cold to warm, and then it's got your normal cat converter in the middle of the exhaust, further under of course, you can't see it from here, which is your warmer temperatures. So it's Euro 5 emissions compliant. Also have a tow bar fitted on here. It's not overly loud. Sort of just whispers away. So let's go ahead and see what she sounds like. I'm going to do this with the door open. It's very quiet. A little bit of rev hang. You can just hear the air being sucked in a little bit. It's still very punchy, very powerful. Has a lot of grunt. It has 336 newton meters of torque, so it's not an overly torquey engine, but it has enough mid-range and high-range torque in the RPMs to get you going. It will overtake absolutely anything in its path. It has a 0 to 100 time of about 6.5 seconds, so improvement about a second over the previous generation, which was about 7.5 seconds or 8 seconds. So I think 6.5 seconds is amazing for the sort of car that it is. You can pull up next to basically any straight 6 Falcon or any V6 Commodore and leave it behind. It'll even give a V8 Commodore or Falcon a good run for its money as well. So I'm going to go ahead and close this up a bit. It's getting a bit hot. I'm going to pop on that aircon. Thank you for joining me today, folks. It's been quite a warm day now. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to pop it in the comments box when I of course upload this to YouTube, but I might also whack this on Facebook as well. If there's anything, any questions you'd like me to answer, or I'll probably do some more 0 to 100s at a stage as well. So I can't talk today. I'll probably do that at a stage as well, and just let me know how we go from there. Yeah, as I said, feel free to comment, like, subscribe. I'm not going to force anyone to like my content, but if you do, awesome. I'm still new to this YouTubing sort of stuff, so any suggestions would be awesome. Thanks again, folks.